said that when our mind, body and soul, our physical self, spiritual self, mental self, emotional self are in harmony, we experience magic and bliss. Whether it's our yogic philosophy of chakras and prana, or Pneuma in Greece, or mana in Hawaiian culture, or ki in the Taoist alchemy, they all stress this fundamental concept. The other bit is, and Dr. Hegde, in his emails to us mentioned that the best pharmacy and the best defense against all diseases is inside our body. We just need to know how to access it. And today we'll talk of various routes which will help us access that beautiful pharmacy inside. We do live in a very uncertain, ambiguous world. There is nothing which is black and white anymore, it's all grey. And therefore we have to leave the mindset of either or behind and embrace the genius of and. So it's modern medicine and homeopathy and naturopathy and yoga and meditation. It's all and. And given the environment in which we live today, the kind of toxins we are exposed to, the quality of what we eat and drink, it's absolutely imperative that we embrace integrated approach to wellness, which perhaps will yield us the best dividends. It is our endeavor in TKYW to get leaders, domain experts, doctors, spiritual leaders, seekers, practitioners on one platform to discuss, to provoke, to debate. And I would say do samvad and not vivad. It's not about one against the other, it's about collaboration. And we hope that these perspectives will enrich all of us so we can benefit ourselves, our family and society at large. So without much ado, let me invite the first panelist, Dr. Harit Chaturvedi. Please welcome him with a round of applause. Dr. Chandrasekhar, welcome to you as well. And we'll have Dr. Rao, from on the video. So we ask all these people, accomplished leaders, 4 simple questions. What is the cause of cancer? Can it be cured? What are the therapies that can be deployed? And is it possible to get rid of it? And if there's time left, we'll certainly pass it on to the audience to answer some questions. So Harit, over to you, please. You can speak from there.
I must say it's my first time, but such an event is something which I was looking forward to, frankly. And I have a very unique position. 2 people asked me while I was waiting that we want to know what is your position. That is what exactly was the sentence, because you are very uniquely placed. How come you are here at this event? And somebody else said that I am now your patient. I was earlier with someone else, but I found you slightly more open to the earlier doctor, to the other approaches to medicine. That was another question, is that right? Yes. Somebody asked. And during these last 10 days, I've had at least 4 phone calls. And one person asked me this morning again, that doctor, why did you accept to be there? You really want to challenge your position? So I told that person that, see, I am not a practitioner of some unique science. I am also in this cancer crusade. I am also trying to understand cancer, win over cancer and try to help the society as much as I can. So we need everyone to come together. We need all of us to work continuously, because if I look at what allopathy has achieved, so actually we have just covered, as Rajit was saying, everybody knows a little bit of it. जो 5 अंधे जो हाथी को इंटरप्रेट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, वैसे ही ह्यूमन बॉडी, it is like that. We are all trying to understand one corner by our own philosophy and science, and we are thinking that probably we have the answer, so we don't have. So in the next 10 minutes, I'll try to explain what modern medicine is understood cancer and where are we getting. So if I ask, what is a cancer cell? There was one question which I posed myself, what is a cancer cell? So cancer cell has 2 unique properties. One is that it has endless power to multiply. It is a superhuman cell. A normal, healthy human cell has limited power to multiply. It will stop growing after a point. But a cancer cell gets immense power. It's a superhuman cell. It's a power to multiply endlessly. That is one property. And second is, it has a power to metastasize. It can go to any other part of the body and multiply there also. A normal breast cell, if you plant it in liver, it will die. But a cancerous cell, if planted in the liver, it will survive there also. It has the power to multiply there also. So what is it that happens that an ordinary cell becomes so powerful, so supernatural, so superhuman? And for that, we do not understand in almost 40% of situations, but good 50-60% is relatively explained by this triad, as I mentioned. There are some genetic factors where people are predisposed to certain cancers. For example, you might have heard of a BRCA gene, which is so well known today for people at large. There are certain infections like human papillomavirus or hepatitis B and C and H. pylori. Likewise, there are certain environmental factors. What Rajendra was mentioning about the inner engineering and those things also come into play, but the environment per se, where allopathy, how allopathy understands it, is diet factors, tobacco, pollution, alcohol, how these things, what we take and what we feel all around us, are the factors which contribute to the pathology of development of cancer, the initiation of cancer. So in our body there is a continuous balance which is linked with the immune system of the body, the assault on the body by the outside source, what we call as the mutagens, and with the aging age, as the person ages, the multiplication can go haywire, can go abnormal, and that also leads to development of cancer cells. So if I say that, do we have cancer cells in these unique positions? The answer is no. Our body is continuously having lots of such malignant cells in the circulation, but the body has the immune power to eliminate them from our system. And that is what is the repair mechanism, the DNA repair mechanism, or the nutritional state or the genetic resistance to cancer. So these things keep a balance, and therefore cancer has a gradual journey or triad where the initiation, promotion, conversion happens, and then it progresses on to developing a full-blown metastatic cancer. So this slide is just to emphasize that how a unique cell develops into abnormal cell and goes on to form a club of cells and then invades into the basement membrane and then gets into blood circulation, all that. Now the point is that this whole process may take anything from few months to 15-20 years. For example, cervical cancer can take from the point of infection to full-blown invasion, it takes about 15 years time. So it is so much unpredictable in certain ways. It's a multi-stage mechanism which we see. And if I look at this thing, that how one cancer cell, as it goes on to become a lethal mass, it takes about 36 doublings of that cell, of which 32 doublings, that means 7/8 of its natural life has gone by without having any opportunity to detect that cancer. So we have these PET scans, MRIs, endoscopies, US, narrowband imaging, whatever is coming and going, but still 7/8 of the natural life of the cancer or tumor cannot be picked up by modern technology. So you have actually lost the battle before you have actually, by the time you have diagnosed it. So the width where you have the opportunity to intervene and cure or do something meaningful is very, very small. And that is what is big limitation once the cancer happens or invades. And that is why we say that by the time it is diagnosed, most of the cancers are systemic in nature. Now, the question posed to me was that can it be prevented? So once we know the causes, obviously it can be prevented. We can answer those causes. We can have some lifestyle impact changes. You modify your diet. You see what is more healthy. We know that gastric cancer is very common in Japan. In India, the coastal belt, the gastric cancer is #1 cancer in Chennai and these places. So it is because of the roasted fish which they take in their natural diet, and that leads to certain carcinogenic elements in the gut. Likewise, if you avoid tobacco completely, tobacco directly causes almost 35% cancers, like the oral cancer, lung cancer, all these cancers. So it can be prevented. The infections also can be addressed in certain ways. And the important factor here is that most of these cancers, other than the genetic ones, if one migrates from one population to another, for example, an Indian goes to US or an American comes to India or settles in Japan, by the time the third generation comes, the factors are so dominant that your risk is same as for the native population of that country or that society. So what I mean, for example, in India, the lifetime risk of getting breast cancer is almost 1 in 30 for a lady in lifetime risk. In US, it is 1 in 8. But if somebody migrates from here, the third generation will have the same risk as in the American population. So there is so much impact of local factors, there is so much impact of things, what we eat, do, the kind of life we have, all these things play a major role. So when we cannot prevent, how do we treat cancer? So in modern medicine, the three commonly understood tools are surgical, medical and radiation oncology, as we know, are the tools which we use. So what is surgery? Surgery comes naturally, or rather the oldest form of therapy, where you remove the tumor completely with clear margins, normal borders, and that's it. So once it is out of the body, it's out of the body. It should not come back. But we all know that surgery alone has limited impact alone in most of the cancers beyond stage 2. Till stage 1 or very early stage, often surgery is good enough or works wonders. But beyond that, the failure rate goes up, and then you need other modalities. If I talk of oral cancer or lung cancer or breast cancer, a 2 cm breast lump, you undergo a mastectomy, you do all that, but still you know that the failure rate is almost 20% if we don't add any other modality. But if we add chemotherapy, hormone therapy, depending on sector, I'll touch upon that later, then the improvement goes on to 90%. So all these things play a role. While I am saying that surgery alone is not enough in majority of situations, I also want to emphasize that surgery is still the main tool of treatment in spite of all advances in other modalities. Now in surgery, there's been huge development from microsurgery to robotic surgery, and all these things have come together to be able to do more and more precise work, more and more accuracy in treatment, so that your normal tissue is not impacted. It only handles the cancer tissue. And likewise in radiation also, IGRT, IMRT, motion tracking during radiation, proton beam, all this is directed towards one philosophy, and that is just touch the cancer cell, don't touch any surrounding tissue as much as possible, because that impacts the life as a whole. Now, besides this, the radiation and surgery, which are the local therapies, the maximum evolution has happened in the systemic treatment, or the treatment by which goes all across the body, because we know that any tumor cell which has gone beyond 1 centimeter generally has cells in other parts of the body also. So this is the traditional way chemotherapy has worked, that it works at the multiplying cell. The faster a multiplying cell, higher the chances it will be impacted by the chemotherapy drug. It acts at the DNA level, it acts, stops the, breaks the bondages, breaks the bands, and so it kills the multiplying cell. The drawback here is that it does not identify the cancer cell and the healthy cell. So what happens, that all the multiplying cells will be impacted, whether cancer cell or a healthy cell. So you have the patient has mucositis, diarrhea, because the gut is having rapid multiplication of cells to sustain, and that is why there is a limitation, how much you can give without having significant toxicity. Then came the era of targeted therapies, where you know where the marker is, or what is the cancer cell carrying. For example, tamoxifen, most of you may be knowing, is the first targeted drug which was developed, where estrogen receptor was blocked by this medicine. So breast cancer cell anywhere in the body will get blocked and will not let the cell to multiply. So these things have worked to a certain extent. If you ask me, when we added chemotherapy to surgery or to these things, the improvement was 5-7%. When target therapy works, it works wonders in cases, but if you look at the total impact, it's not more than 5-6% if you look at the total spectrum. So these things, the cancer cell is even smarter. When you block a channel, it develops an alternate channel to multiply, and that is why it has not been able to completely solve the problem. But what target therapy has helped work is that instead of giving therapy which for all patients a general way, one size fits all, rather than that, you give therapy specific for the cancer type so that the person benefits and has minimal side effects as shown here in this figure. Then came now, the latest is the era of immunotherapy, where what happens, the realization is very clear that our immune system, as I said earlier, that all of us are harboring cancer cells at any given time in millions and billions, but the immune system is able to eliminate them from our body. In a cancer cell, what happens, it secretes certain enzymes and chemicals that stops or blocks the immune system of the body and does not allow it to work on the cancer cell. It does not allow the body to identify the cancer cell as a foreign and remove it from the system. So what has been developed recently and being practiced, that this is the diagram here to show that how the tumor secretes certain enzymes which blocks the cancer cell. What has been developed, that you are able to block the enzymes that are secreted by the tumor, by the medicine, PDL1 and PD1. These are the things which block the enzymes secreted by the medicine, by the tumor, and that allows the body's immune system to work on the cancer cell and eliminate it. So this is the latest new modality of treatment to come into clinical practice. After having achieved all this or seen so much of development, I can still say that the total impact of this is limited to not more than 15-20% of our cancer patients. When you talk of target therapy, immunotherapy, all this put together, and there are certain ways that we are still talking of survival in terms of 35-40% as far as Indian context is concerned. And the reason for that is that in spite of all this, the advanced stage of presentation has a critical role. Now the point is that what have we realized are the other therapies that have impacted outcomes in cancer patients. Now yoga is one such thing which has been proven beyond doubt that patients who are on yoga therapy while they are having treatment for cancer, they have better outcomes compared to those who are not on yoga therapy. So these are things, exercise, dancing. Recently I met somebody who's doing a dance therapy. In our Lajpat Nagar center, we have this art therapy for our patients. So these are all things which are being practiced because it has been realized that these things have a better impact on treatment and the outcome. So, if I say that we have achieved 35-40% cure rate in spite of so much of advancement and so much of putting energy or money and resources into this struggle, I think the further battle should be enhanced by putting all our thoughts together, putting all our ideas together, and see how best we can integrate to get the best possible outcome. Thank you very much.
The use of the rogue cell is quite visually disturbing the more I think of it. But thank you for your openness, really appreciate it. Over to Dr. Bindra. As you can see, as each one of them speak, there is a theory, there's a concept, there's a line of treatment, and they're quite clear on how that has to be followed. It will be quite interesting to see as we hear them speak.
I am talking about integrative oncology, as Dr. Harida already mentioned that the surgery, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, all these modalities he has already mentioned. So how integrative oncology means starting from the surgery, including chemotherapy, radiotherapy, then coming to the other alternative approaches, how we can improve the outcome of the treatment approaches. So the cause of cancer. So as per the homeopathic perspective, the how cancer is caused in the body. We will start from the root cause because the carcinogens are the main leading cause. Everybody among us know that carcinogen is the leading cause that causes cancer. Anything that is capable of producing some certain changes, some mutations in the genetic level that can lead to cancer is capable of causing cancer and is termed as carcinogen. It can be either fertilizers, chemicals, pollution, and any genetic mutations caused by some vaccinations also we have seen in the recent cases. So as per the homeopathic perspective, cancer diathesis. What is diathesis? I will just give a brief introduction. Diathesis, it's a constitutional predisposition. Predisposition means that someone is prone to that disease. This is the homeopathic perspective. Toward a particular state or condition, it is recognizable by certain psychophysical characteristics because we cannot ignore the psychology in this big disease. By a group of diseases encountered in the ancestors, that is the family history we talk about in cancer, and by a number of associated disorders. Historically, diathesis was described by the founder of homeopathy, Dr. Hahnemann, in conjunction with and as a sequel of a natural contagious chronic disease or miasmatic diseases that we call psoriasis, syphilis, the homeopathic perspective, such as tuberculosis, syphilis disease that was eradicated very long time ago, that is in the ancestors of the afflicted patient. So diathesis has the following attributes. First one is the predictability. How can we predict that this patient is more prone to cancer? This is a major, when we talk about the preventive measures, then we have to look into all these things. The family history is also important. Based on the chronic disorders in one or more ancestors, as we talk about the family history of tuberculosis, we talk about the family history of cancer, asthma, diabetes, cardiac disorders. Then second thing is the characteristics recognizable in the early childhood. This is the psychological perspective. Any prolonged parental control we have seen, emotional or physical abuse in the victims, autoimmune disorders. These are the psychosomatic ailments that we talk about in homeopathy. Psychosomatic means first they come from the psychological level, then they enter into the physical level. Then predictability of the susceptibility to a group of disorders based on physical and mental journals depicting the predisposition. So cancer is a systemic disorder that is potentially affecting all the tissues, organs and systems. The disorder begins with a complex physiological response to a gradual cumulative exposure to the carcinogens, as Dr. Harith was talking about it. It can be drugs, vaccines, pesticides, emotional stress, all these things, or to a radiation exposure, finally exceeding to the threshold of containment. So this threshold is reached earlier in the persons who are already afflicted with a psoric, psychotic, syphilitic or tubercular hereditary diathesis. These patients are generally more prone to cancer. Or in the otherwise healthy persons, as a result of sudden overwhelming carcinogenic stimulus, some emotional stress, sudden push-up or some chronic influx of the toxins for a long period of time or to other adverse exposures. After a period of latency that can range from a few weeks to several decades, some of these changes may begin to grow into tumors, ulcers or other malignant conditions. So the cancer diathesis appears to grow from the terrain of 4 previously inherited miasmatic predisposition, as I already talked about, starting from the psoric, psychotic, syphilitic, tubercular. And the next one these days that has evolved is cancer miasm. Psoric is the deficiency, all the disease which show the deficiency part. Hyperfunctioning of the organs, hypertrophy of the organs. Then psychotic part is hyperfunctioning of the organs, hypertrophy of the organs, proliferation of the cells. Then coming to the syphilitic part is destruction, dysfunction, dystrophy, ulceration. Anything that is causing some destruction in the body comes under syphilis. Then comes the tubercular, that is emaciation, the body starts emaciating. Malfunctioning of the organs, atrophy, atonia, scrofulorosis, that we call about the tuberculosis. Then comes the next cancer. So genetic mutations, everybody talks about genetic mutations. The cancer is the genetic mutation is the main cause of cancer. But why these mutations are occurring? For a while now we can notice a new type of human being. I am going to give you an example. If you go to any metro station in Delhi, you can see 20 to 30 years old age guys. That is a new generation, that is a new species of human being. The new generation is like in their 20s to early 30s, slender, haggard, even sick looking, sometimes with apparent tubercular characteristics, long eyelashes, pretty, delicate features of bland, often pale and amorphous face, afraid to displease. These are the mental features of these persons. Want to do a perfect job. Perfection is the main thing that we are facing today. Anything we are doing, we need perfection. Whatever they are said to do. They have a constant fear of failure. This is a big thing. Worrying a great deal about performance, exams, grades, any kind of evaluations. They have many compulsive preoccupations. OCD is a very common disease. These are the starting points of these diseases, such as checking their watches, their mobiles several times. Whenever they go somewhere, as if they were worried they would not arrive on time. This is the anxiety. The young woman will confess that she loves her pets more than her husband. This is a new generation. So these are not normal traits of human being. This is a new species of human being that is evolving these days. She could ever feel for her husband, even her offspring. You can see that the child will be sitting in the back seat and the dog will be sitting along with her in the car. Because of all these sensitive to criticism and all these meticulous about their diets, they develops a fear of disease and particularly cancer. Everybody talks about, doctor, ऐसा क्या करें that we should not be killed by this disease without any reason. किसी का सुन लिया that yeah, this one suffered from cancer, how can I prevent it? This is a disease, anxiety. So they are likely to experiment with the drugs, stimulants, alcoholic stimulants and other drugs, hoping to break through their inhibitions and self-perceived limitations. So the kids of this species find it very easy to write. You can see that the kids can write for 3 hours in the exam, but when they come for the viva, they are down. This is a new thing that we are noticing. So now the tuberculosis was dreaded disease 100 years ago, developing it on the top of chronic miasmatic curses of the age. So cancer has become the modern disaster. So 1 out of 2 alive today will develop cancer pathology during their lifetime, because the carcinogens are coming influxing every day at a very huge level. In Punjab particularly, I will tell you that the fertilizer, the uranium has been detected in the groundwater. Can you imagine what uranium can do inside the body? So since the turn of 21st century, elements of the cancer diathesis can be observed in roughly 90% of the population in industrialized countries. 90% people carry carcinogens, but at some moment of their life, there comes a threshold that they suffer from this disease. It's such epidemic proportion today that even with the firm knowledge of its numerous causes, any prospects of stopping and reversing it, we are helpless. We know everything, but we are not able to control it. Homeopathic treatment can do a great deal to mitigate and even cure the cancer diathesis. Cancer diathesis, when we are talking about it, it means prevention part, not the treatment, including cancer itself. But without eradicating its cause at the root of our psychophysical addiction to the carcinogens, the hereditary cancer diathesis cannot be eradicated. We have to strike the root level from where the genetic mutations are happening. So the big question, is cancer curable? Anybody comes to you, ask this question. मैं ठीक हो जाऊंगा? Is it curable? Frankly speaking, I will say no. It's a big challenge for doctors. Only 20 to 30% people we are seeing visiting our OPDs are able to cure. Cure is a big criteria for cure. Cure doesn't mean the disappearance of the tumor in the body. After a few months, after a few weeks, after a few years, that will come back again in some other form or maybe in the same form. Yes, it is curable, but if it is diagnosed in the initial stages, lack of awareness is a big thing these days. We don't get cases in stage 1 or stage 2. Stage 3 is the initial thing these days. So which happens rarely in 20 to 25 patients out of 100. And that's why we can say that only 20 to 25 patients can be cured out of the 100. Due to the lack of awareness and patients rush for conventional treatments in haste, people don't want to wait. They want that today I am diagnosed with cancer, tomorrow morning I should be in the hospital and treatment should be started. In 1 or 2 days nothing can happen, everybody knows. But the rush for the treatment, haste in taking the decision ends up with the severe side effects and with poor success rate due to almost dead vitality after harsh treatments. So alternative cancer physicians have to face the heat of complicated diseases, complicated cases, irreversible pathologies, late stage cancer cases, and the overall cure rate has fallen dramatically. We get the cases that this patient was given chemo for these 6 cycles, after that the patient was given radiotherapy, and after 3 months, after 6 months or after 1 year, there is a relapse. Then there are more genetic mutations, then what can we do in that case? The vitality is low, then definitely the success rate will fall dramatically. So now the few remedies for cancer, there is a big list in homeopathy or in other modalities that we talk. I will give just few medicines. First one is conium maculatum. Conium maculatum, that was the poison that killed Socrates. The same poison, its active component is conine. It is a poison which reduces the cell viability and colony formation, inhibited cell proliferation, arresting the cell cycles to G0 phase and leads to increased generation of the reactive oxygen species. Morphological changes, DNA damage in cancer cells leading to apoptosis, that is programmed cell death. So downregulation of the cellular proliferation and has tumor lysis in vitro. This is the in vitro experimentation, the paper reference I already mentioned here. This we have found that conium can do this to the tumor cells. It is used as mother tincture or the lowest dilutions in lymphoma, CA breast, CA lung, hepatocellular carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, oral squamous cell carcinoma. This is very effective. The second one is Phytolacca decandra. Its active component is TPS, that is triterpenoid saponins. Results in the cancer cell shrinkage, chromatin condensation and DNA fragmentation. So it helps in apoptosis in breast cancer cells. It's also used in mother tincture. There is Scrofulia striata. It's very useful in glioblastoma. This is very deadly cancer, uncontrollable. So it helps in shifting the BAX expression gene and regulating P53 tumor suppressor protein, used as mother tincture. Other many drugs like hydrestis, Sempervivum tectorum, Podophyllum, Thuja, Rutasorinum are very useful. Additional drugs that we are using is curcumin, that results in apoptosis of cancer cells. Curcumin is the haldi that we use in our kitchen, but this is the more bioavailable molecule in nano form that is much better in result. Dosage is 1000 to 4000 mg per day orally. Then SMT that we call silymarin milk thistle, its active component is silibin, which can regulate P53 gene, suppressor gene, and has antioxidant effects and detoxification. It's very wonderful drug for liver cancer. Dosage is again 1000 mg per day oral or maybe higher. Artemisia abyssinium, this is a drug that can help in inhibiting the DNA replication. Again the dosage 1000 to 2000 mg per day. Success rate, when we talk about, I already mentioned it's 20 to 25%, but when we collaborate all these modalities, the patient is coming after chemotherapy or radiotherapy or surgery, and then we do something to prevent the relapse of the disease after complete remission, the success rate is around 50 to 60%. So this is the beauty of integrative oncology. When we work together, then it will definitely help the patients in much more perspective. Then few case studies I will discuss here because I could not bring the live patient from Ludhiana to here, so I have bring few cases. CA tongue relapse. This patient was 57 years old patient with CA tongue relapse with lymph nodal metastasis after just 1 month of 6 cycles of chemotherapy and followed by 36 rounds of radiotherapy. This is the relapse. This was the lesion on 11/9/2015. Lesion was 3.9 into 3.7 into 1.7 centimeter on the anterolateral margin extending to the sublingual space, and after the immunotherapy along with homeopathy, we have seen On the 22nd of December, after around 3 months, this is the residual tumor, this is the PET scan report. And this patient was given only homeopathic medicine, nothing else, along with some immunotherapy, this curcumin and SMT. Then ovarian carcinoma case, this was a case of 27 years old, unmarried girl. The target was to save the organ of this girl because we could not take any risk because she was unmarried and both ovaries were involved. So this is the PET scan report of this girl on, I think it's 23rd August, no, it's 12 August 2016. This was the left adnexal lesion tumor 12.5, 8.56 centimeter, and the right adnexal is 4.5, 3.5, 2.3 centimeter. After 4 months of homeopathy along with the few other modalities we have seen, the tumor has come, right ovary is totally normal. And the left ovary tumor has shrunken to around 3 to 4 centimeter in just 4 months. And till today's report is that the right ovary is normal and the left ovary tumor is around 6 centimeter. This was the cancer marker for this patient. CA125 was 132. And after that treatment it was 26. Thank you so much.
I love the way you integrated saying that this is not about one modality, it has to be an integrated approach. We appreciate that. Now we'll see a video from Dr. Rao. He unfortunately couldn't be here. He runs a very successful clinic in near Zurich called Paracelsus, and he believes in biological medicine. So we'll just share his video.
My name is Dr. Thomas Rao, medical doctor. I'm leading the Paracelsus clinic in Switzerland, which is the biggest clinic for biological cancer treatment in Europe. And this is our brochure. You can go to the internet www.paracelsus.com and you can have more information from them. Since 27 years we increasingly built up our cancer treatment, which is now the most multi-leveled cancer treatment in Europe and integrating all the techniques possible. We are now speaking about cancer treatment, biological cancer treatment. What is the root of cancer? I get asked all the time. There is no root. There is never a single root. There is very individualized a complexity of part reasons which you have to analyze very systematically and very individually on your patients so that you know why they got cancer. We can answer this today. Why did you get cancer? And you will only be successful if you do the treatment on all these causes. It's always a multi-level treatment. Do you believe that cancer can be cured? Yes, of course. We have so many patients in whom they just stopped developing their cancer. No question if they removed or did not remove, but it is possible to stop the progression or to avoid reoccurrences or metastases. Our patients normally they do not reoccur in their cancer if they continue long-term their treatment, their biological individualized treatment. Which is the most prevalent cancer? This depends from where the patient comes from. In China, for example, due to the pollution, there is lung cancer. In Australia, there is skin cancer. In Europe, there is breast cancer, as also in the US, and prostate cancer. And colonic cancer is more or less worldwide, especially in the Western world, because of nutrition, which is typical as the cause of colon cancer. It's the most prevalent. What is the most effective treatment? This is a question which nobody can answer. Of course, you can do orthodox, narrow scale treatment like chemo, radiation and operation. But this is never the solution. And even if you do this, you always have to add the biological co-treatment, which makes that you will have no reoccurrence. It's the biggest mistake only to do orthodox treatment, only chemo, only radiation, only operation. You always have to add biological remedies, which are antioxidants, hyperthermias, magnetic field treatments, physical therapies which we can provide, and a whole bunch of milieu changing remedies and infusions. Are genes responsible? Yes, they can be responsible, but it's only a small part of the cause, the genes. Epigenetic influences are very important because they can change the genes in cells so that the cell gets cancerous. We know this from radiation, we know it from electromagnetic load, we know it from wrong nutrition. Epigenetics can influence your genome and therefore increase the cancer. And there are cancer families who have, we know this from breast cancer antigen, breast cancer gene, which makes a higher incidence. So there are cancer families, so a genetic background is also present. What are the latest technologies? Well, come to Paracelsus Clinic Switzerland. You will find all the latest technology. No other clinic has more than we do. The latest technologies are the localized ionizing treatments. They are the short or microwave treatment, which makes an inner hypothermia. There is the whole body hypothermia. There are the infusions with high dose vitamins, high dose automolecular, which means mineral and trace elements, and the change of inner milieu. So we have latest technology, but no cancer patients, only one technology. Always combination, individualized combination of different technologies. Your personal comment or advice on how doctors should treat cancer. Come to our seminars to learn how you should treat cancer. We provide seminars for doctors, for practitioners. Learn about multi-causality of cancer. Learn about how to treat the causes which lead to cancer. Not only against cancer, but for immune system, for changing the inner milieu. This is what
our purpose today is not to scare everybody, but to in the end synthesize and figure out what's the way to treat this rogue, and indeed it's a menace. Many months back, India Today, there was an issue which said, unfortunately, 1 in every 13 patients of oncology across the world is an Indian, which is quite unfortunate. And that's our purpose today, to be able to debate and discuss and see how we can deal with this. So now we have another person with a different hue who will talk about Rang, Ras and Nath, Dr. Chandrasekhar.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. So, cancer, and we are searching a cure. So, what is cancer? It's already explained. I need not to go on that part. What cancer is and what is the cause of cancer. Everybody talked about the emotions, role of the thoughts and emotions, lifestyles. So we all agree on that point. But what is the cause of cancer as revealed by God to me? Why I am telling God to me? Because when I was suffering from the cancer and hopeless and helpless due to the treatment, ordeal of the chemotherapies, 2 major surgeries, and then followed by infection of the hepatitis C virus, which caused cirrhosis of liver stage 4, grade 4. So all this was happening, and I was afraid seeing the many deaths in the cancer hospital. So one day I just saw a divine light, and I heard the voice of the divine light that you are not sick, your body is sick. Then I thought that this all things happen when the death comes. This is a hallucination and this may not be true. So twice I saw, then third time when I saw and heard the voice of the divine, then the communication with the divine started. Clear cut communication. The God asked me, suppose your car get accident, what will you do? I say, I will take it to the workshop for repair. Then he told that after giving it, what you will do? I will wait. Then he asked, what is the most important quality to wait? Then I said, patience. Then he told, that is why you are patient. Then I understood the meaning of the patient, that I am patient. I am not sick. My body is sick. So then I started believing that I am talking to Almighty who is teaching me. Then I asked, because of the pain and suffering, I asked how I am unable to bear the pain and suffering. Then I cry. Then he told, okay, just remember this light. I saw him in the form of light. So he said, just recall this light and I will be with you. And the moment I start getting pain, I just recall that light and then I am disappeared from the body. I don't know what was happening with the body. Doctors were treating. Maybe people are thinking I am sleeping, but I was not sleeping. I was in the trance with the divine and asking all these questions. Then I asked the 3 questions. I asked why I am suffering from the cancer, why people suffer from the diseases, and third question I asked, what is the secret of health and happiness? Then he answered all the questions, and this question's answer is available in my book Healing Current. And the first thing he told that, see, as you are here, your body is parked. Your body is like a car. Doctors are repairing your car. Okay, they are working with the car. And when it is repaired, you will pay the bill and you will take back your car. So what you will do by the time? You have to heal yourself. Doctors are treating and you have to heal yourself. There is a great difference I understood between treatment and healing. That is why I came with the new science called psychoneurobics. What is psychoneurobics? Because you are integrating your mind to your body, and body gets healed by your mind, because as I was explained, the role of the spiritual energy. God told me that you are a spirit. I am also supreme spirit, and the energy of the spirit and the supreme spirit is the same, and with the same energy this your body is functioning. If body is dead, you can remove the eyes, you can remove the kidney from the dead body, and the same organ can be transplanted in the living body, and that same organ will start working. So what is lacking? What organ needs? If organ needs for operation what? The energy, and that energy is spiritual energy, and that is the domain of the God, and that is what is spiritual energy. Spiritual energy, we grow, and every organ of the body is function. So this is the new thing I came to know from the divine. And can it be cured? Yes, it can be cured, because can word itself, cancer has the word can itself says yes, you can cure. And the another CER I interpret as it's a confidence, faith in God, efforts of self-healing, and regular practice. So with this, cancer can be healed. The best treatment, already told, the best treatment is surgery, if possible, to remove the malignant cell. That is the most important. Then you can integrate, as Dr. Bindra already explained, how you can integrate the alternative way. And you can integrate your psychoneurobic science also, because you have to integrate not only medicine, you have to integrate your mind also. That is psych, and that is psychoneurobics, because the role of psychoneurobics in cancer treatment is the energy comes from the God to the soul, because the supreme spirit and spirit is the same. with the energy, and when the energy comes to the mind start using that energy, and the energy gets depleted by mind because of the fear, anger, or negative thought pattern, and the energy does not go into the body for the healing. So mind has to be integrated to the body with the psychoneurologics. And the process, how we help the patient, we first diagnose. Our diagnostic tools are what doctors, Dr. Bindra and Dr. Hari Chaturvedi was telling, that if, seventh or eighth part of the cancer, you don't get the symptom. So how we get the symptom? We use the live resonance, the bioresonance system assessment. With this, the cells, you can identify the cells which are going to be dangerous in the future. We have universal energy scanner, the research has been taken place on this, and we have Killian camera, that is aura based energy system from the Russia, and we can see that you can see how these energy centers are not in the line, so this cannot transfer the energy. The all energy centers I can compare like you can say MCB. When the MCB is on, current is flowing. When MCB is off, the current stops the flowing. So when the chakra is off the line, of this axis, then that part organ which is connected to that chakra is off the line and MCB is off and current is not flowing. So you have to ensure just switch on the MCB, and that is in your hand. So we say health in your hand. And we how we develop that, we use the sound therapies, that is when we are integrating your mind to the supreme consciousness and create a sound, that is Om. That Om sound itself had the healing effect, and a lot of research has taken place on this sound itself. But when you are chanting that sound, your mind must be connected with the rhythm. And we use the light neurobics. What is light neurobic? The 7 colors, because sound is having lesser speed than the light. So light, when you think of the light, your speed become faster, and as per the every light has different frequencies. Like for example, I say when the people are weak, generally people say, "Chalo bhai Hanuman ji ko yaad kar lo, unse shakti mil jayegi." Why Hanuman ji? Why not another god? Because when you are reading the Hanuman Chalisa and thinking of the Hanuman ji, actually you are seeing which color of the Hanuman ji? Red color. So the moment you are visualizing the red color, your brain is resonated with the red frequency, and as you know, the red have the highest maximum wavelength, and the lesser frequency it penetrates into muscle system and the bone system and start healing the process. So when you are visualizing the violet color, that vibrates and activates your all endocrinal glands. So these all light system which you have to visualize, and when you are visualizing, you are integrating your mind with the body. Suppose you are just thinking, reading the Hanuman Chalisa, your mind is going somewhere else, then that is not integration. So integration means you need to integrate, think and feel. When you feel, then you will heal yourself. If there is no feeling, there is no healing. We first tell people, whatever you are eating or drinking, you can heal by that thing up to more than 60%, because your body is what you eat and drink. But when you are eating and drinking and healing what you are eating and drinking, the way we have already experimented, you can see how this energy passes instantly. So another is neurobic spa. What is neurobic spa? Neurobic spa is a meditation God taught me during the trance. He taught me how to meditate and how to send the energy into each organs, that neurobic spa. And then other therapy which is the mudras, because mudra is connecting your meridians and channelizing the energy system into your body. And other is emotional healing, how you can heal. That is, we also say delta healing, because we take the patient into delta state of the mind, where you can program the mind for the health and happiness. So that is emotional healings. But not the other slides. Therapies we do, there is a concentration on the 3D, because when you concentrate on the 3D, then your mind is completely focused, and integrated with the body, because if you are concentrating on another 2D color, your mind may divert, but in this your mind is focused. We have experimented, and we have the 7 color cabins and the healing systems on which we are practicing. And can cancer be cured? Yes, it can be cured, but it totally depends on the patient. If the patient says yes, it can be cured, it can be cured. And it's a regular follow-ups, and weekly or fortnightly. The same we get more and more patients, and more cancer patients are lesser in the number, but when they practice, they get the result. And testimonials, myself, you can see my photographs, and now after healing, and my chakras all aligned. And this is the book I have come up with, the Supreme Doctor, because everybody say we treat, God cures, He cures. How He cures? This is the answer given by the God Himself, and that book is a Supreme Doctor. Now this book is printed and published by the Times of India, and this book is sponsored by Apollo Hospital, and Apollo Hospital is integrated the system of self-healing. This is the psychoneurobics as an integrated medicine, not as an alternate, because this all indicate this is integrating body, mind, spirit, and the earlier 5,000-year-old system, the Ras Rang Nar, where it was the dance therapy is from the same thing. And when we are integrating all these three, your mind, body, and spirit is coherent, and automatically healing takes place. And about the book, the current health minister gone through the book and given his current comment on the Supreme Doctor book. This book is available on Amazon.in. You can get at home. And testimonials, we have Dr. Gayatri Bhatt here, and she herself healed of the multiple myeloma, blood cancer and bone cancer. She is available here in the audience. How she faced the difficulty and how she came up with this. And doctors given up, and doctors only told that she can survive only for 3 months. And it was 2005, and now it is 2017. You can see the 3 months and 12 years, more than 12 years. And one of the testimonial we got Nissan Srivastava, he just wrote by hand, having this vocal cancer, and he has written how. And then we are also experimenting how sugar can be reduced with the psychoneurobics. So not in the body. So will rule your body, and in this way psychoneurobics can integrate the other medicines, and the chances of healing cancer, not curing cancer, healing cancer can increase. Thank you.
Right. They don't have perceptivity. So fowls and beasts have perceptivity, but don't have what is called yi. So we have yi, which is the ability to see what is right and what is wrong. So we have life, we have energy, we have perceptivity, and we have yi. No wonder we are very complex. So that's my message. So 3 conclusions I could hear all of you speak. 1, there is indeed no single root cause of cancer. It really depends on your emotional makeup, on your genetic, state, environmental, nutrients, a whole lot of things. Therefore, you have to diagnose at a very individual basis. Use a holistic diagnostic questionnaire. And my invite to all the doctors, on the panel, there isn't one instrument. Somebody is using, some energy antenna, some aura marker, some pathology test, some diagnostics. There isn't a holistic tool which can diagnose spiritually, mentally, physically how a person is. Each time you go into an executive health checkup, you see a panel of blood tests, there's X-ray, there's ultrasound, but nobody is doing a holistic job, right? So we at TKIW some time back, Dr. Rachna is right here, tried to develop, Dr. Sandeep Buddhiraja is right here as well, who's contributing. We are wanting to develop a holistic tool, and therefore we look forward to your cooperation, and collaboration to be able to really take out something which can help people holistically view themselves as they come to the clinics. Second, my takeaway was that there is no debate that an integrated approach, a combination of therapies works the best. And Dr. Bilda said that if people come very late for alternate therapy, the alternate therapists are blamed. Actually, they came late. So an integrated approach perhaps works the best. The real question is, how does the patient decide what to do? How do clinicians decide who to refer at what stage to whom? There is no protocol, right? So my second request to all of you is, can we create a platform where all of you sit together, irrespective of your individual modalities and experience, say, here is a combined protocol we will develop. So when the patient comes to us, we'll sit together and say, this is what is best for you. So he or she gains the confidence and doesn't have to run pillar to post. If we can do that, we can do a great breakthrough, right? So we are willing to help create that platform, but look forward to your collaboration to say, can we really develop these protocols? That's the key. As far as other things are concerned, nutrition, yoga, meditation, Ras, Rang, Nath, we can debate till cows come home. What is the veracity? What is the impact? What is the evidence? My simple point is there is no harm. They'll cause no harm to us. So what's the debate about? Why don't we adopt what is naturally good for us and get along with life to be able to handle the rogue cell? So those are my 3 key takeaways, from this session. And this requires a big mindset shift. And the longest journey and the toughest journey is the 18 inches between the head and the heart. We always think from the head all the time, right? Any theories, Shivani is here, I'm no guru, will tell you that as you progress towards spirituality, you start coming down towards your heart chakra. There's a beautiful quote from a lovely book called The Little Prince by a French author which says, it is only from the heart then you can see rightly. What is really essential is often invisible to the eye. So this is the mind shift we need to make. Thank you very much to everybody. A big applause to all. So we do have 10 minutes. Harit could wait. Harit, please. 10 minutes. If you have any questions, and Pankudi is around here, she can help us coordinate any questions you have, or she also has a set of questions with her. Right? So the lady first.
Comments from our side? Yeah.
Okay, sure. Harit.
So one comment I want to make is that anecdotes are very not good takeaways, because anecdotes can actually give a message which is very lopsided. So it is important that whatever data is interpreted should be interpreted in a holistic manner, and that should be a very important message for society at large. Because what happens, telling 2, 5 or 10 stories out of 2,000 will have more impact on life. So that is where we need to end. First and foremost, as I said earlier also, that I believe in collaboration, I believe in coming togetherness, but I believe in, because what has happened over the last 50, 60 years, the foundation of science is more and more evidence-based, more and more based on the outcomes in a thousands and millions of people. Today what we accept as standard treatment is something based on, and also sharing that in the universal world, not sharing in a closed room with 5 people. In the universal world, it has to be a platform where people know that, okay, this thing, you treat 1,000 people, this is what you see. Or you treat this in 10 people, what will happen? That is one very important thing. And second thing is to understand each other, we need to understand the process what is being accepted. For example, you said that cancer is not one disease, and that is what we also believe, that even if you talk of breast cancer, oral cancer, there are so many subtypes, so many things, so many markers. So you cannot have 10 medicines or 5 medicines which is impacting head to toe all types of cancers. And the impact is that finally you don't see the outcome or don't see. So what I will say that we need to come together in a very structured manner, that we see what data says, we see what the science says, what is the philosophy behind it, and then we work together to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Harit. And I'm saying we are willing to take that challenge at DQIW.
Yes.
To work with all of you to create those combined, holistic questionnaires and protocols, right? And it will evolve. We can start with some, will evolve. So willing to do that, as well. So we'll begin with the lady here, and then Pankti will go and collect the questions, and then we can ask the doctors. Can you give a mic?
A bit redundant. All of us spoke about various ways to deal with this problem, but no one spoke about nutrition, and now that Ishi is here, maybe we can get a few inputs. I thought I'd speak on your behalf.
No, as I said, nutrition has a big part to play. Dr. Rao said it, himself, that, what we consume has a big part to play. So as I said, there's a no debate on nutrition, at least. Yeah, Ishi, you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, that is something which is undisputed, and we all realize the importance of nutrition and how changes in our diet are coinciding with the increased incidence of cancers, and not only cancers but so many other illnesses, autoimmune problems, mental health, etc. And the more affluent we are getting, the more food we are getting to eat. The problems seem to be just multiplying and growing exponentially. So yes, there is a whole area to be touched upon. I don't think we can do it in a short span. Nutrition is complex, but diet we have eaten for centuries. And when we are trying to understand the combination, it can get very tricky. But all I'd like to say is that in my clinical practice, what has really changed is the focus on gut health. That means digestion, and that seems to be one of the most critical areas in inflammation in our bodies and leading to many more metabolic and complex immune system reactions. And I think that coincides with the belief in the traditional system of medicine, whether it is traditional healing, naturopathy, Ayurveda, whatever, that everyone basically in the traditional system of healing looks at gut health and digestion first. And that's what I am now beginning to find. And I think there needs to be a lot of focus on what we are eating and how we are digesting.
Sure. Thank you. May I request you to restrict yourself to questions, please? So we had a gentleman here with a question. Yeah.
Actually, 5 years that I'm working on psycho-emotional roots behind cancer.
One moment.
So I would like to know, and I have observed in more than 100 patients of mine, and I have collected the data, and I have found that the suppression of emotions, suppression of feelings is the main cause behind this particular cancer. How far it is true or how relevant it is?
To my mind, it will certainly have that. There's a hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, which we know that just what you are thinking is likely to impact. But as the main cause, I will not agree, but I will certainly say all these things contribute to this.
Unless and until we.
But as you said, you have got data, so all these things, when you work and randomize and see, for example, I gave the example of yoga. Yoga has been randomized and studied that, okay, this gives better outcome in patients who are performing or practicing yoga while on treatment. So all this has to be interpreted in after a statistical analysis of the data.
That won't act as a maintaining cause, because unless and until we treat that particular emotional state of a person, whether we will be able to treat cancer.
You should be able to help the person to maintain that state or to work on that, to strengthen that further, and to study that in a society at large, at how much, for example, studying 1,000 people, each one, how it is working, it can be done, certainly done.
Okay. Sachin, you had a question? We have time for after this one more question because we have to close
I
and
just
move.
wanted to add. So I'm a cancer specialist, a medical oncologist. I give chemotherapy. So I have interviewed, and I am into this holistic medicine for many years.
Dr. Sachin, use your mic.
Yeah. So in my interviews, I always ask about feelings to my patients, and I have found this that a lot of people have this lack of love, lack of trust, lack of forgiveness, and not being, gratitude enough. So that is the basic reason. I am a medical specialist and I can vouch for it. It does happen. And I have so many patients, especially females, who develop cancer within 2-3 years of losing the spouse or, losing somebody died in the family or some mishap happened, and they are holding that grudge, they are holding that, in lack. So that causes some block in the energy flow, and some organs get cancer. So I totally believe in this, and we are trying to work on feelings for it.
Okay, thank you, Sachin. Dr. Garg?
I have one remark and one question. So we are dealing with one person, and we hear many important aspects of that story. It's a very complex system. We all agree that we don't understand. The psychological part is very important too. What I hear from all three of you, if I just take you three, you speak very different languages. So I doubt that a surgeon would understand the miasmatic diathesis. I doubt that you understand. I'm sorry, you may not understand the immunological.
Yeah,
you may
you're
not.
saying in a question. You're saying this is true.
Indeed, you may have a problem with immunological findings, yet it is one person who has much less knowledge than any of you, is in a regression, is in a fear, is in and he seeks help as one person. So my question to you is, if you even had a common language together, even if you did, there would need to be one manager. So the next step is, who is the manager, who is the conductor of that orchestra? So how would you, what would your answer be? Suppose, what would be such a good conductor?
Girl, you're appointed here with
So it will take a lot of ego to be shared before you can actually share. So that is why I initially said that statistics, data, objectivity, as it is said, no, everybody other than God has to get evidence. So if Hadith Chatri is saying something, he has to get evidence. What is it? How it supported it is. If Dr. Bindra said, he has to get evidence. Two stories will not make a thing. So likewise, all of us have to create evidence and a structured format of collecting that evidence. Not just hearsay, because that is also very dicey. And obviously, once we share and sit and understand, probably it will happen. But before entering the room, you have to share your egos and be open to listen. So that is very important.
You know, Tony was mentioning to us in one conference we went, there was a sign on the door which said, please leave the shoes and your ego behind.
Yeah, without that it doesn't make sense. So.
Well, one last question with the lady and then we have to really wrap up.
Yeah, I really don't have a question, but I just want to make a comment. As I am working in the health department and people during in last 10 years. So I am agree, the people we are doing the health checkups, we are doing the parameters which are the physical parameters, but we are not checking the mental parameters. And when you start just touching their mental status or their family, they will speak even the 1 hour. So they will not, and the main you will find the root cause of any problem is in the mind. And I fully agree with the gut as well, because what we are eating and what we are thinking is totally matters a lot. And people don't have nobody to share. So that's the main problem why the cancers
So thank you, we really have to stop now. And we really have to stop because we have...
One comment maybe, is required.
Okay.
How do we deal...
It's okay, Rajinder, we can hear.
I'm loud enough. How do we deal when we are in, say, government practice, when we are like, patient hame jaldi dekhne, we don't have time, and we are in private practice where a lot of money is required. How do we balance out that?
We are trying to solve so many complex questions.
I'm in government sector. So how do we deal with that?
So fortunately, unfortunately, we also have a lot of work. We also don't have time. We are also rushing through things. So that is the sad part of the story. I don't think this forum can answer these questions, but certainly we all as humans have to answer these questions. As medical professionals, as people who have come in this room to find solutions, as Tony said, seekers, we need to solve the society's problem and health. And that is why I said in the beginning that I am not an allopathic doctor, I am a cancer crusader. I am open to ideas, I want to know what others are doing so that we all can collaborate.
Thank you. I think the good discussion, is an indication of why we brought all of you together in TQIW. Our purpose is to bring people together. And as I said, we're not going to stop here. We will work on the holistic questionnaire. We will work and see whether we can develop integrated protocols for the benefit of the patient. So thank you very much, everybody. A big applause for them.